what about ChatGPT and DALL-E and Stability Diffusion? Entry-level people generally are increasingly replaceable by AI. Okay, I can't do any job that creates economic value, but I can make people happy. I can do something that's helpful to the society. You should be rewarded just like you are today. When quantum computing works, greater revolution than even artificial intelligence. It's going to be an incredibly disruptive period. We will see how this evolves.
How about Japan?
Where I think Japan needs to find a way to improve is.
In your book, you mentioned maybe we need kind of fake jobs in the future so people will be engaged. Can you elaborate on that point?
Yeah. So one of the problems induced by AI is that AI is very good at doing routine entry-level jobs, but at doing jobs that require leadership or depth or brilliance or creativity. So in other words, for any profession, whether you're thinking accountant, lawyer, researcher, banker, any of those jobs, the top people are not replaceable by AI. But entry-level people generally are increasingly replaceable by AI. So that puts us in a dilemma where if we just simply replace all the entry-level jobs with AI, new graduates will not get a job.
Right.
And get a job, how do they get practice to become good? So the idea in the book is let's keep giving new grads entry-level jobs, but those jobs might be virtual or they. So imagine a new law student graduates, finishes school, graduates, enters the law firm as an entry-level lawyer. AI can perhaps already do that job as well or better. So what we could do is put the worker on the job of being a lawyer in a particular case. But we know at the end of the day, AI will look at the work and maybe redo it. Maybe the entry-level person will do the human-to-human interaction part of a lawyer, but the actual case development and looking for past cases and data and coming up with an argument is better done by an AI. But in this case, we are giving the entry-level worker an illusion that he is working when the actual work may or may not lead to any difference in any lawsuits. But that gives us a way, number one, to keep people working and becoming productive and feeling good about themselves. Secondly, a way for people to be observed by their managers and superiors and to pick out who should rise up to the top and become those jobs irreplaceable by AI. And lastly, it keeps people busy. When the people are busy, they won't be depressed. They won't go to the streets and protest. And that might be a way to help the society maintain stability in a time of difficult transition. So it's just an idea. I don't actually think it works as described, but I think the ideas are valid, and hopefully people will read it, think about it, and eventually when we enter that level of a problem, some part of the ideas might be used and integrated with other ideas to help us get over a very difficult hump in the next 15 years or so, when more and more jobs will be challenged as AI becomes better and better at doing it than the human.
So we need to kind of rethink what job means to us.
How people and challenges people and keep them satisfied. What I described will help train and grow people so we don't lose the top tier and keep people busy. But I don't think that's necessarily the end game. I think start to realize maybe simply busy work isn't good for anybody. So people should be faced with really a choice. Do you want to go into a job that is entry-level job where maybe they need to be honestly and transparently told you'll be evaluated and you might go up, you might not. If you go up, it'll be really great and important. If you don't go up, your job might actually not make any difference to the world, but it's kind of practical training. This is like graduate school. So that's with it. But probably other people should have the choice of, hey, I don't want that kind of a life. I don't want to do jobs for 10 years for a chance to become a director or a vice president. I would rather pursue service. I would rather pursue my passion. I would rather take on a hobby. I would rather help the society become happier. So I think ultimately, I'm not in favor of misleading people to think they're working when they're not. I think it should be done transparently, and people should have a choice. And also, I think in the longer term, people will not have the same attachment to work. That if I don't have a job, I'm hopeless, meaningless, and I should die. When people start feeling that way, it's like, okay, I can't do any job that creates economic value, but I can make people happy. But I can do something that's interesting to me. I can do something that's helpful to the society, or I would be allowed to live on universal basic income. So I think whatever happens, it's important to continue to give people the freedom of choice. So transparency of information. So we need to get to that point. We also need to uplift the burden that you must work, otherwise you're shamed. So work, not work, work hard, not work hard, work on things with economic value, work on things without economic value. There should be a universal tolerance for these variabilities. And of course, if you really work hard and deliver universal value, you should be rewarded just like you are today. But you should have a choice of saying, hey, look, I just want to volunteer in an elderly home, make older people feel happy. I just want to do that 6 hours a day. What can I get for it? And then, okay, you get this much universal basic income, and then you can enjoy life. You can enjoy painting, photography, poetry. Then that's a lifestyle that we need to tolerate. I don't think we can insist that everybody become a service worker or everybody become a routine worker waiting to be picked for promotion. While the book suggests many ideas that are a bit creative and extreme, ultimately, as you see in the last chapter or two, I believe in choice. I believe in diversity. I believe in tolerance, that there shouldn't be a one-size-fits-all way to think about work.
So how many percentage of people do you think that will leave the routine work? Because you made a good point about transparency. So there's already a technology. When you start writing Gmails, the Google suggests what sentence to write. And we now know that AIs can do better than us. So we can choose if we want to go straight that path and compete with AI and do a bit better things, or leave that job and go to a more emotional area. How many percentage of people would choose either path?
I have any idea, but I would guess if we were to implement something in the next 5 years, the notion of work being the meaning of our life is still, and the social status of service jobs are still not very high. I would imagine what people would pick to go to the routine job and compete for the few percent chance and get basic income. But hopefully, with the proper changes in society affecting us to revisit our beliefs, and also some retraining and changes in societal values and status levels and pay levels, maybe over 10 years, 15 years, the service jobs are more respected, better paid, and also people are less obsessed about wanting to have a job, and that describes the meaning of their lives, that it can be balanced. And at that time will be whatever percentage of people is suitable for doing service jobs versus what percentage of people who want to the rat race and the competition. And that's a ratio that's kind of naturally inherent in our brains, not artificially shaped by society. But today we're all shaped by society, so I can't guess as to what the natural numbers ought to be.
I want to go back to the graph. Could you elaborate so our audience can understand better what this chart means?
Yeah. So we think about cognitive tasks. There are two types of cognitive things that AI is not good at. We should study what AI is or isn't good at. So this axis is meant to show that the x-axis on the right side will be very creative. The left side will be very no creativity required. The y-axis on the top would be very high degree of social skills and empathy. The lower part would be not so much social skill and empathy required. So that divides us into four quadrants. So on the upper right are the jobs that require high empathy and high creativity. They're jobs like M&A experts who need to evaluate people and companies and persuade them to merge with each other. CEOs who need to manage complex environments that include making money, make a profit, but also balanced with sometimes contradictory requirements like keeping employees happy and making customers happy. So that's the upper right. Those are the jobs most difficult for AI and most suitable for humans. But of course, there are not that many of them. And those that are there make a big difference in society. On the lower right are the ones that do require a lot of creativity, but not as much empathy and human connection. So there would be jobs like writing a New York Times column, or a scientist, or an artist, or someone doing a deep research. So work that could be done at a desk in their homes without too much interacting with people. So these jobs, I think, are not so replaceable by AI immediately, but AI can be a very good symbiotic tool. So the AI can help the reporter or the columnist generate lots of ideas, then the person will optimize. It's something AI can be a tool to help. On the lower left are the jobs that are most endangered because they don't require a lot of creativity, and they don't require a lot of human touch and empathy. Basically, food delivery, operating on an assembly line, copy and pasting in a desk job, routinely creating content, whether in text or images. These are jobs that AI will be able to do better because AI doesn't need to interact with people. These jobs don't typically require much interaction. And these jobs don't require creativity, and they're more routine. So these jobs are heavily endangered. Those in these jobs should be thinking about migrating to one of the other three axes. On the upper left are the not so high creativity jobs, but they require a lot of empathy and human touch. So these jobs are going to be safe also. Social worker, concierge, and tour guide, and elderly care specialist, teacher, or a nurse. So again, a lot of service jobs. And because it is human to human touch, human is required. That AI is not good at it. And even if AI got better, other humans won't want it. So the upper left is important because it's not very high skill set, not very high bar, a lot more, and it has a lot more jobs here. So I feel the upper left is an important part to providing enough employment to a lot of people because it doesn't have a huge bar and prerequisites. The problem with these upper left jobs are that the social status and the pay are not great, and those are things that need to be changed.
And this graph is the same concept.
Yes, with at the right are things related to dexterity, and at the bottom are related to human touch and connection, empathy. So the jobs that have high degree of dexterity will continue to be done by humans. For example, a job like a plumber would require very good dexterity and problem solving, and also good empathy because you need a homeowner. You're going to be making walls on their homes to play detective on where the plumbing might be broken. There are other jobs that require a lot more routine and also low human interaction. For example, a waiter in a fast food or a cook in a fast food McDonald's. Those are going to be replaced by AI because a cook at McDonald's doesn't really interact with customers. So there's no need to have a human do it. And its work is very repetitive and doesn't require a lot of dexterity. So that's going to be to be replaced. So overall, I think for these physical work, it's important for workers to think about how to either leverage dexterity or build on their interaction with people to make their jobs more secure.
You on the past TED Talk, it's interesting that there's a combination or a collaboration between AI and humans, because in the example you show, a bartender can, a robot or AI can create the best cocktails for a customer, but the humans can interact with the customer and talk about over a drink. Is that the case? So more and more humans will be kind of collaborating with AI?
Yeah.
This chart is very interesting for me.
Yeah. So point in this chart is that lower left side are jobs that will be fully taken over by AI because very much creativity or human empathy. And then on the upper left are service jobs that will largely be done by humans, but sometimes they can use AI. So a teacher might use an AI to help kids remember the multiplication table, or use AI to teach the kids about history. But it is the human teacher that will teach kids about teamwork, communication, and creativity and empathy. So the human role is much, much bigger. Similarly, a doctor would use AI to help with diagnosis, finding the problem, asking the right question. But the doctor would be the one trusted by the human patient and be the one who will make the final determination on the diagnosis and treatment, and will be the one to show that he or she cares so that the patient gains confidence, thereby increasing the likelihood of recovery. Then on the lower right are the lower empathy jobs, but high creativity. So that's where the human researcher or scientist or artist would be able to use their creativity to the best of their abilities. But because AI is becoming great tools, so a reporter can write a much better report with AI providing information and ideas, maybe in a first draft. And similarly, a columnist might do the same. And an artist might use AI to enumerate and generate a lot of ideas and possibilities to inspire the artists who will modify or maybe even make the final work. Finally, the upper right are largely human, because the ability to conceptualize and create, plus the ability to generate and have empathy and compassion and love, are things that only human can do. AI can, of course, continue to play a small part by providing the tool, but the human is in charge. So by and large, the orange part is the human, and you can see it on 3 of the 4 quadrants. So the human jobs are not going to just get displaced, but AI will have a substantial role to help humans in the upper left and lower right, but AI will replace humans in the lower left.
In your previous book, AI Superpowers, you mentioned 40% will be replaced by AI. Does that figure is changing, or do you still believe 40%?
I believe that's roughly the right number. And frankly, a lot of people were skeptical when I published that. And it's been a couple of years. And some people were saying, hey, it's been 4 years, 5 years. I don't see any unemployment. I would have 2 answers for these people. First is that COVID masks a lot of unemployment. We don't really know if, with the age of remote work and COVID, how to measure unemployment number, and whether when someone's furloughed or change jobs or work part-time, how that's measured. So we're confounding a lot of factors. That's the first part of the answer. The second answer is, what about ChatGPT and DALL-E and stability diffusion? I think these technologies that can clearly write very good stuff, very good essay, very good reports, very good research analysis, very good lyrics to music, very good code, very good art, wonderful images. And so it's immediately bringing to fore, are reporters going to be out of jobs? Are people who make a living on writing going to be out of jobs? Are people who make a living drawing or taking photographs or editing or using Photoshop going to be out of jobs? So I think, these job displacements are definitely going to be a subject that's talked about a lot because of the recent rise of these technologies and companies and tools.
I'd like to wrap up by asking you the future, the influence of quantum computing. You touched upon that book, and also the role of China and US, because US are kind of inventing a lot of tools, and China is bringing that technology into practice by using a lot of data and reinventing infrastructure. So could you give us final comments on the future of quantum computing and also the roles of two gigantic countries?
Yeah, quantum computing is the certain part of the book, because not beyond controversy that how and when quantum will work. Quantum has been making good progress, and when quantum computer works, all the other computers will fall by the wayside. It'll be infinitely faster, solving problems that couldn't be solved before. It will be able to model the human body, the universe, the climate change. It will be used to for infinitely safe, permanently safe security. There are so many benefits of the quantum computing. It will also cause problems because a lot of the things we depend on, like some of our Bitcoin wallets or our internet passwords, would be broken with quantum computers. But they could also be doubly protected by quantum computing and security. So it's going to be an incredibly disruptive period. I would argue when quantum computing works, it'll be a greater revolution than even artificial intelligence. And it will also enable many unsolved problems in AI to become solved. But the question is, when will it work? We don't know. Experts seem to indicate 10 to 20 years. So we'll just have to watch for progress and be careful with our Bitcoin wallets in the meantime. On the question of US and China, the hypothesis I made in AI Superpowers in AI 2041 is that Chinese companies are very good at tenacious execution, delivery, results, monetizations, value creation. Chinese companies work harder and get better results and iterate faster. American companies tend, especially Silicon Valley companies, tend to have a phenomenal technology vision, take risks, look for paradigm shifts, and are not afraid of mistakes and failure. So that's why companies like Tesla, OpenAI are emerging in the US. But the Chinese companies, Tencent, ByteDance, Meituan, Didi, are creating tremendous value too. So recently, with the advent of ChatGPT and what I call AI 2.0, we are seeing, once again, American companies take the leadership position. That is not surprising because Americans are just better at research and innovation because of the education system, because the encouragement for people to come up with breakthrough innovations, because the society loves, rewards, and worships people like Elon Musk and Steve Jobs, and because America attracts brilliant people worldwide to go live in America. So it's not surprising. But I certainly wouldn't write China off because China has not been the most breakthrough innovation country or companies or people in pretty much any field. But it has been known to work hard and come back from behind. This may or may not happen with ChatGPT and AI 2.0, but I certainly wouldn't rule out China. And I think it's still in pretty good shape as the second strongest AI country with AI 2.0. And we will see how this evolves.
How about Japan?
I think Japan has a lot of brilliant innovations. As I travel Japan and talk to a lot of companies, I see that they have in their inventory a lot of really great science. I also think Japan has a lot of excellent universities. And I think the Japanese have maybe a different kind of work ethic, right? That of perseverance, continuity, and don't stop and not afraid of failure and keep going. And also craftsmanship and pride in their work. These are the excellent part. Where I think Japan needs to find a way to improve is Japan doesn't yet have a very strong VC ecosystem. And it's still, because it's such a strong economy with very wealthy people, it may become complacent and not feel the pressure and the need to compete with US and China. So I think if one could inject a little bit of tenacity, hard work, and help Japan with a bit better entrepreneurship and venture capital, I think Japan can really make a big difference. And I hope the book can do a little bit to help in that process.
Thank you so much. By reading your book, I believe it's up to us, up to humans, if the future of AI will be a negative one or a positive one. So I really enjoyed the conversation and by reading your book. Thank you so much, Kai-Fu Lee.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.